Rise of the Fans. That's what we're calling it, Rise of the Fans. And one fan film that really stood out to us recently, it was a lot of fun, and it really, talking about all this news and all these missed opportunities and, Disney, Lucasfilm not delivering on Star Wars, we're just turning it right around, and we're going for the fans. Look to the fans. When Disney and Star Wars and Lucasfilm are not delivering on Star Wars, you always look to the fans because the fans are going to deliver. And one of those things that delivered for us recently is a fan film called Brightstar. If you guys haven't seen it, we'll link it here, and we'll let you guys go check it out for yourselves. I think that this delivers Star Wars in a better than anything Disney Star Wars has come out with. There are multiple reasons for it. But Dan, if you want to, I was going to say, if you want to pull up.
I got it up. I got it up. We're just going to kind of thumb through it. I'm not going to take credit for it.
Yeah, no, for sure. This is made by Archangel Epics is the channel. And they have an opening crawl. I think, Dan, you did even some more research in the background of they hired it's a fan film.
It's a fan film professionally curated.
Yes.
And these are professionals that were involved in doing this. As you can see in this opening CG shot.
Right.
I mean, it's good stuff. Look at that ship fly by. Boom, there he goes, all the way to the planet.
Like just that second, couldn't you? Or?
I don't know, but CG, that you don't mess around. There's some more CG.
The
so they
side swipes.
They got the side swipes. They got the transitions.
They had a dark opening, which it sets the tone in a way that gives it weight.
Exactly. You got really, really good looking lightsabers.
Yeah, it is. As for people who have spent too much time rotoscoping lightsabers, they did a really good job.
Yeah, it's a bold, fan film, and then it transitions into what I think makes this fan film so good.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And that is, there's a young girl, and the fact that okay, it's fine, right? We see this. This is Star Wars. Let me finish.
Sorry, yeah.
And then right next to the young girl is her dad.
Yes.
Okay. And
Family.
That's what I mean.
Yes.
It starts off with family right out of the gate, and you know that it's a father and a daughter, and the relationship between the two of them really sets up the beginning of this, and actually sets up the entire thing. And I'm not going to spoil it.
Yeah,
but
we'll do our best not to spoil it. But,
I'm not going to show you the ending, but this guy is a legit actor.
Yeah, he is a fantastic. Mm-hmm. The daughter did a great job acting.
Yeah.
The dad did a great job acting. And the thing I really like about it is they use like realistic people in a lot of ways. When you get like Hollywood and stuff like that, everything's polished. Everything's like over the top with everything.
Right.
And I like, and usually it's like younger a lot of the time. They like to go younger with everything. Obviously the daughter's younger, but the dad is a little bit older. Not old by any means. Not old by any means. But they even talk about it during the film. But it's realistic. It feels real. He feels like it's a lived-in character. This character has gone through some stuff. He's trying to be the best father he can be in a galaxy that's, crazy right now. And he's trying to teach it, but there's still moments of levity in there. He's teaching his daughter.
Yeah.
And the thing I love about it is just the way they handled the family in this this
right.
fan
Really
film.
quick, you get to there's another sibling, so it's like a family of 4.
And my
mom,
goodness, a platonic relationship.
Right. I mean, you can see this.
No, sorry.
And
what am I saying?
I don't know.
A man,
husband and wife.
Husband and wife.
Traditional family in Star Wars. Are you kidding me?
And she's a strong character as a wife. But look at that. Look at that. She's a strong woman, and she is smacking him in the head. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I mean, but she's a strong wife with her husband, and they're having a good conversation. I mean, the story here is what I like about this part. There's a lot of setup. You get the flashy lightsaber at the very beginning after the opening crawl, but you're setting the tone. Like, this is Star Wars right here. You get a good lightsaber introduction, so there's some action to hook you. You're like, oh, they're not messing around.
And dark. They went dark at the beginning, too.
Then they follow it for like 10 minutes. I think it's like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, almost 10 minutes here. 8 minutes. There's some conversation.
They give you interesting exposition, and they're giving you it's taking its time, but it's
Yes.
not like it's not boring in any means. You're
Right.
interested in everything they're saying. The dialogue is
Yes.
executed well, and they're setting up these characters. It's character setup to get attached, and you get attached to these characters very quickly.
Yes, exactly. It takes you into the family for a long time. That's what I appreciated about this. It stays into this, showing you the dynamic so that when things change and get tense, you appreciate the emotional pull of what you got to that point. Does that make sense? Like they don't just give you behind, they set it up. They set it up well
They do.
in a short 20 minutes. Better than other films have done, better than Ahsoka did at certain points.
Right.
And so I appreciate that.
Yeah, and
how
if
they
we
did.
could show you the film right now, we would, but obviously we don't want
We want you to go watch it.
we want you to go
actually.
watch it and give
It's
it
got
all
a
the
lot
credit
of
it
almost
deserves.
500,000 views, and it's doing really, really well. And it has won Best Fan Film London, Berlin, Tokyo, Fantasia Audience Award. So it's not just loved by us and enjoyed by us. It is actually clearly solid to actual people that know what they're doing in the movie industry and in, you know what I mean, in
Right.
film festivals. So don't just listen to us. Listen to the good people.
Right,
But it's
exactly.
solid.
Well, yeah, and so for me in this, it was one of the biggest things that I was saying earlier,
Yeah.
and what I'm saying now is the fact that it's family, and
Yep.
one of the big key elements of Star Wars is the fact that that it is family. I mean, Star Wars is based on family in a lot of ways. That's one of the biggest things of Star Wars. A lot of people overlook that, but that's what it is. And they do such a good job handling the family in it. And what do you know? It's a nuclear family.
Right.
Holy cow,
It is
that's
so
edgy
rare
nowadays.
to see-
Isn't it crazy that that's
Yeah.
edgy
Right.
in some ways?
Look, there's
sad.
a daughter,
Ridiculous.
a mom, and a dad, and it's very bizarre, even though that is for thousands of years how the world has moved.
Yes.
And then to be shown in a film like this, it doesn't, it's just common sense, right? This is
Yeah.
the Star Wars fans. This is why it feels like Star Wars, because the things we got lately have nothing to do with this.
Right. And I think it's more relatable. Like almost everybody can relate to this being, and that's what I'm saying with how it feels real. It's not forced. It's not some unnatural thing. I think it harkens even into like deeper into our souls here, that we can relate with these characters because it is about family, and a family that most of us have grown up in and been with. I did want to say real fast though, if you do go over to their channel and watch this fan film, definitely leave a comment and tell them that Stay on Target sent you. We greatly appreciate it if you do. But yeah, so they handle family so well. It's a lived-in galaxy. The dad's a little bit older, but not old. He's just a little bit older. He's seen some stuff, which sets up, which is interesting because that's also how George Lucas does a lot of his stuff. He wants to start the story off already progressing. So he doesn't want to mess around with like setting up everything too much. He wants to get you right into the action. I think they did a great job of that. They honored Star Wars and what's come before. They do a fantastic job with the lightsabers, the rotoscoping, the dialogue, setting up a cohesive story better than anything Disney Lucasfilm have done.
Yeah.
It's a perfect, this fan film to me is next to perfect reason for Rise of the Fans. A perfect example of Rise of
This
the
is a
Fans.
premium example, in fact.
Premium.
Premium, because it's got all the ingredients, like made by fans, also by professionals, but the people that are writing it aren't corporate. You know what I mean? They actually care about the product, and they know the feeling of what Star Wars feels like.
Right.
So when you watch it, you get the same action, you get the same feel for it, and that's what I appreciated about it. And the pacing, it's got all of the ingredients that you want to set up a good story. Because if you set up a good story, you will forgive maybe a weak acting moment or a weak
'Cause
CG.
it still is a fan
or-
film,
Right.
and it's real and it's raw, and they I don't know how much money they put into this. You know
Put
what I
in
mean?
some money.
I'm sure they put in some, but it's not like millions and millions of dollars though that
No.
like Disney Lucasfilm throws at everything. You
No,
know?
it's just,
and it's
right.
and that's what and even with George, it's always the story is what holds true because effects change over time. But you can, like you were saying, Dan, if you can forgive the effects and even minor things as long as the story is good, and this is a perfect example of a good story. I didn't mean to jump on. I know you had more. If you had more to say there, Dan.
No, there's layers to this story.
There are many layers.
There's lore. They create lore in just like 3 minutes.
Yep.
That you could be like, well, how does that work? I'm just saying it answers some lore, and it actually reminds me a little bit of our fan film.
It did
for one particular reason. I was like, ooh, that's like very, very similar. Like the universes could almost be the same.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's interesting, and it made me think. But you know, the way that when you think Star Wars, like fans love to dig into the minutia, and it's just that's what's so fun about Star Wars. So then you get the family feeling, and then you get the action, and then of course the tension rises as they meet these villains that they set up. They set up through conversation. So when the villains show up, you're like
a female villain, that's also edgy.
You're not allowed to do that, Dustin.
You're not.
Are
no.
you? I mean,
not in Disney, Star Wars, Lucasfilm.
Right.
And if it's a female villain, she has to win.
Yes.
Or be justified in some ways.
Yeah. And it's but even she's got some complication to her, you know.
Yeah, which I enjoy, and there's character depth to her as well.
Right. And they had legit conversation. I can't find a good freeze frame. Look at those squares.
Look at that rotoscoping.
Glory. And they got some lens flares going on there.
Well, and what you were saying, Dan, I liked the fact that they honored Star Wars. They got all the core elements of Star Wars that need to be in anything Star Wars done in a short amount of time. They execute the action well, and the rotoscoping, everything, but then they also push it a little bit, kind of like what we did in our fan film. We wanted to create something a little bit different, a little bit interesting, exciting, and they did that in this in a similar way to our fan film, which I find fascinating, like you were saying, Dan, too. And that just adds another layer and gets you thinking even more about Star Wars, and then it progresses the story in a natural way.
Yes.
And then it leads to a climax, a climactic ending.
But what would a Star Wars film be without some saber clashing, right?
Yes.
I mean,
it looks very familiar.
It does look a little familiar.
I rember rotoscoping scenes very much like that.
In a good way, right? You know, we like to be in the woods, and I mean, it's just the golden color is solid. But I like what they did with it, and I like how they played in the family dynamic throughout this. And I'm not going to play much more till the end here, but
because there is a little bit of spoilers.
There's a little bit of spoilers, but yeah, you guys are going to absolutely want to see what's going on all the way at the end. But
yeah, we don't want to spoil anything else, so we want to encourage everyone here.
Brightstar,
go and watch the Star Wars Brightstar, and let them know that we sent you in the comments, and like it and all the things. Because in our opinion here, it's a premium example of Rise of the Fans, and that's our tagline for 2024. Dan's the one who came up with that. That was a fantastic tagline, Dan. Rise of the Fans, and this is a premium example of that. We cannot give it accolades enough. For me, it's a 10 out of 10 for a Star Wars fan film. Even a film in general, it's 10 out of 10. You got all the elements we were talking about, right, Dan?
Yeah. I was just pulling that up.
Is that what you were doing? Sorry. Yeah. So it's got all the elephants. It's got all the elephants we were looking for. No, it has all the elements we were looking for in Star Wars, and I just absolutely, we really enjoyed it, and it was absolutely amazing. And actually, crazy enough, in the chat right now we have Archangel Epics, the studio who created this fan film.
Really?
In the chat, they're saying thank you so much. Stay on target for loving the character development. Yes, we definitely recognize that, and that was a key element that we really loved in that fan film.
You don't have a solid Star Wars film without character development.
No, you do not.
And that's the proper terminology for it. But here it is. I was going to pull it up here. The ingredients to what we liked, what we started coming up with.
We show you an epic fan film that's absolutely amazing, and then we bring it back to stay on target.
However,
classic.
Archangel, I did like the behind the scenes where they showed some previs for the fight sequences.
Yeah,
and they used they had a storyboard, and they had some shots, and they had characters like toys that they set up.
Oh, genius.
And they shot. And so, you know what I'm saying? So it has humble beginnings. I mean, you have to use what you got to set up the stuff before you get all the actors out there. And they had choreography, stunt leaders, they had stunt teams, they had all this stuff. So they were legit, where we were unlegit. They were legit in their fan
exactly.
in their film, and it pays off. You
It
can
shows,
tell.
yeah.
It absolutely
definitely.
shows. But basically, back to our chicken scratch.
Yeah, our elements that we said what needs to be in Star Wars.
With the help of the chat, I mean,
Yeah, it was.
This had a gritty, lived-in action feel right out of the gate. What
did.
she's doing, they're fishing, and you see the fish.
Even before that, that's right on the planet. Is
The planet, right? Yeah, I mean, you're not like a polished concrete marble, right? I mean, you're literally in the world, and you feel the world by the sounds when the soundscape comes up. You hear the sounds of the forest and such, and then when she's
it's dark. It's a little bit of a dark intro.
Yeah. Well, the dark intro there, but
I'm talking about the dark intro.
Yeah,
and
the
then
dark intro.
you're switching over to the lived-in universe. Yes.
And then it has a little bit of comedy.
That's
No,
what I
there's-
like.
no,
That was
there
the
is
other thing I was
comedy,
going to
yeah.
say. There was levity still
Yes.
in it between the husband and wife, and it felt like a very realistic
Actually, yeah.
husband and wife conversation.
It actually, yes, it was very refreshing.
Yes.
Hope is at the center of it. Okay, this is what we've said.
There is.
This is what culminates. This is what makes Star Wars great. Is the hope, right?
Hope, yep.
And definitely, this had hope in it, despite how certain things played out. But it had hope at the end, and it left you wanting more.
This literally, okay, just, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, Dan, but
Yeah.
this has literally, wait, keep that up. That literally is everything. It has hope.
Yes.
It's got levity, comedy. It's got family. It nails it with the family. It's got a love story in it. It's just a little different, but there's still a love story there. It's got
There's love.
There's love there. There's love. There's a
can
lot of
tell.
love there.
Yes.
Love for Star Wars. Love for in
true.
between the characters. And there's fantastical elements for sure.
Perfect, yep.
Especially with the one thing we were talking about. It's got a revenge/redemption arc, if you think about it. Not exactly in the same exact way, but it's there, and it's a gritty, lived-in action, film. So this literally hits on every thing that we've talked about, even with you in the chat as
That's
well.
so funny.
Yeah.
It's literally got everything that you want in a Star Wars film and fan film. That's why we give it 10 out of 10 for me.
And it even has some bonus points because the CG and the choreography and
Yeah, they didn't just rely on those elements.
the casting.
They deliver.
You put that in the various categories of how you cast a family. Maybe how you do the gritty lived in, et cetera, et cetera. And
Yes.
but it hits all. It checks all the boxes for
checks
sure
all the
on this one.
boxes.
So please go check it out.
Please go check it
and
out.
have fun and tell them we sent you. Actually, tell them right now because they may or may not be here
in
listening.
the chat, yeah.
But
Thanks for
I'm-
jumping in with us. That's awesome.
It had to be said because I watched it again today with a little more of a critical eye and enjoyed it even more the second time
Right.
through. First time we were getting ready and I was a little helter skelter, but this time I really got to sit down and watch it, and I really really enjoyed it.
And personally for us, making a fan film, we can relate. Maybe not exactly. Obviously, theirs is a lot more high quality and professional in so many different ways. But we can relate as to the struggles of making a fan film and bringing Star Wars to life in the way that we can without millions of dollars. You know what I mean? And they just did it to such a degree that it cannot be said enough. It is amazing. So go check it out. That is Brightstar, Star Wars Brightstar, Star Wars fan film made by Archangel Epics. Definitely go check it out. If you want to have some good Star Wars, for all the disappointment we hear about in Disney, Lucasfilm, Star Wars, this will not disappoint you. It will remind you, it will give you hope of Star Wars, because this is what the fans do. They rise above anything in Star Wars to make Star Wars even better than it could be.
I'm curious. Archangel might love the sequels, and they might love all of that,
I don't know.
and they might love the direction. I'm guessing maybe not as much.
Yeah, we're not sure.
But it doesn't matter. I'm not putting any words in anybody's mouth.
Right.
But all I'm saying is what they have given
where
us
you going?
there. All I'm saying is what they've given us there is different than what Star Wars has given us.
Yes, definitely.
in the last 5 years, other than a few, bright moments.
Yeah.
But
Oh.
Brightstar
Shining light out
shining
there.
the light out there, and we aspire to be able to do what Brightstar has done there.
Yeah, it
Actually,
is inspiring.
in our next thing, and so it kind of gives you a sampling of people that really care and are willing to sacrifice and put
Yeah.
tons of time and their creative skills and efforts. And that's what we all want to do in the Star Wars world. It's the perfect sandbox.
It is. So yeah, definitely go check it out. So let us know in the comments too down below if you have checked it out.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of it? Do you guys like it too? You giving it? What are you rating it? 10 out of 10? Because that's what we're rating it. So definitely go check it out. We appreciate you checking that out here.